When you open Calico, this is the screen that you will see. It defaults to a home page, an output area, and a new Python script. So it defaults to Python. But we're going to work with Jigsaw. So I'm going to click on the new, and now I get a list of all the possible things that I can open, that I can start a new program in. So I'm going to click on Jigsaw. And now I have the Jigsaw interface, which is not that much different than what we were just looking at. We still have our output over here. Over here we have our Jigsaw options on the top left-hand side. And then over here on the top right-hand side we have the work area. And down below are the properties that show up. Right now all we have is a label and a message, and we have no message, so there's nothing showing up there. We're going to work with this property area. We're going to be filling some stuff in order to make our program. So this is the control area that we're in. So this is, when the script starts, this is what you're going to do. We have some other options in here, some if statements and some repeats and some things like that. We are not going to talk about those just yet. We're going to start with the very basics. So we're going to go to statements. Statements are generally things that you set equal to something. So right now this defaults to, you can see that there's a little bit of a white around this, and that's our variable. So we're going to change this variable to something that is meaningful. Let's start with just some basic math things. So let's say we want to add a couple of numbers together. So I've set my variable to be sum. So that's going to be the result of whatever expression we put on the other side of this equal sign. And down here you'll see there's this thing called expression. And right now it's set to 0. We could set this to another number like 7 or 25 or whatever we might want. However, you can also set it to be actual equations. So let's set it to be 4 plus 7. And you're going to need to hit the enter, the return key, in order for that to be accepted. If you just click away, it'll disappear. So for example, if I try to change this to 27 and then I click away, okay, that actually took it. Arg. Let's pause. So we're going to change some of these things down here in the properties window. So you can see that we have a variable here. It's kind of outlined in white. And we have an expression on the other side. So I'm going to put in a different variable. You could leave it to be result if you want. I'm going to change it to sum so that that makes some sense, because we're going to use an equation here that's going to do some addition for us. I'm going to hit enter, and now you'll see that the label has changed to sum equals 5 plus 14. So we see that we have when the script starts, we're going to add these two numbers together, and we're going to save it in the variable called sum. So let's hit the green button to run the script. And when you do that the first time, it's going to ask you to save it. So I'm going to save this script into a folder, and you'll see that it saves it as a .jig file. That's how you know that you have a Jigsaw file. And so we hit run and nothing happens. You see that this flashed white for a second, letting us know that it actually calculated that, but nothing happens, right? So if you want to see what happens, you need to print it. So we're going to pull the print over here, and you'll see in my print the expression is the word hello. And this is what's called a string, and we'll talk about strings again here in a minute, but we're going to change this because we actually want to print this. So let's change this, and the expression that we're going to use here is sum, because that's what we have. We have sum equals 5 plus 14, and we want to print that out after it's done the calculation. So let's see if that works. And sure enough, it prints out 19 over here in our output window. So that's where you will see your sum printed out. Okay. So some other things that you can do with statements. I mentioned that you could set this, you could simply set this to be another value. Let's say this is the money that we have. We have 27. We could print those out. In fact, we could print them out. We could print them both out. And you'll see if I run that, it prints 19 and 27. Interestingly, it prints them as a list. Okay, so some other things that we could do is we could, you know, add, subtract. We could also set this to be a string or a word. So let's say we want to put name in here, and we're going to put Susie. And words and strings, sentences, anything like that that are made up of letters are going to be put in quotes. And you just need single quotes. That's all you need. And then it will deal with that. So let's, instead of money is defined. Okay, that's just weird. What? Okay. So let's say instead of printing sum and money here, now we're going to print name. So we don't care about these. We might use them later. So now it will print Susie out. So voila. Okay, so we see Susie is printing over here. So you can make these statements be equal to anything. They can be an equation. They can be a number. They could be a word or a sentence, something like that. If you do use a word or a sentence, remember to put your quotes around them. And then if you want to see it, you're going to use your print to see it. Now another thing you can do under the input-output area is we could actually ask a question and set that to a variable and have that print. So let's say we don't want to give it the name. We want to actually ask our person that we're interacting with via the computer what their name is. So you can see down here we have an ask, and I'm going to put in the question, what is your name? And I'm going to change that, the answer to be name. So we're going to set name to be what is your name? And I'm actually going to, now you'll notice that I can drag that bottom thing out. And I actually want to get rid of this name equals Susie because I don't want to have two things equal to name. So I'm going to drag this off and hit yes. That's how you get rid of a block that you don't want. So now I'm going to put this in here where I'm going to set name equal to a question. I'm going to ask the question and have somebody input it. And I'm going to have that name printed after I get what their name is. So I'm going to hit the button, and you'll see up here it's a little bit off the screen, but it asks for the name. So let's put in a name. I'm going to put Cindy, and I'm going to hit enter, and you'll see that that name prints down here. So you want that, if you want to get information like that, you can print it. And we could do something more interesting with our print here. Instead of just printing the name, we might want to print hello. And the cool thing is we can actually add those two things together. Let's put a space there. So I've got hello in quotes, and then I'm going to print the result of this question so that it says hello. So we're going to run the script. I'm going to put Cindy in here. I'm going to hit OK. And you'll see that it didn't actually take that. So we could do something more interesting with the printing, and we could actually have it tell us hello. So I'm going to put hello in quotes, And I'm going to add hello to the name. You can actually add two strings together like that. And I'm going to hit enter so that it takes that. And then I'm going to run the script. And I'm going to put in the name Cindy. And you'll see down here that it says hello Cindy. So that's pretty cool. So another thing you can do, another output, we could actually have it speak the name as well. So let's change this to the same thing that we have for our print statement. We'll put hello plus name, only this time it's going to say the name out loud. And I'm going to put the name in here again.
Hello, Cindy.
So that's pretty cool. And it actually prints it twice because speak also prints. So you'll see that it's there twice. So I really didn't need to print and speak, but we already had it in there. So some other input-output things that you'll see over here, we have beeps. And we'll use those a little bit more later, but these are just different tones that you can beep, and you can change the how long it lasts and the frequency. So let's listen to that for a little bit. We got to do our name here.
Hello, Cindy.
So the first one is a really short, sort of default, kind of high-pitched beep, and then the second one is a little bit lower and lasts a little bit longer. So those are some other things that you can output. Procedures is a place where we're going to work with later, but this is where we define our own functions, and we'll do that a little bit later, but I just wanted to show you what it was so that you know that it's here, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the trimester. So the basics are we have our main control things over here. We have when the script starts, which is what you're going to use most often. We have some statements where we can set expressions equal to variables. We have some input-output where we can print either the results of our statements, or we can ask questions, or we can just print random things. So we can get stuff onto the screen so we can see it. We can also make some little noises, and we can speak. And we'll talk about these other things, the tell and a little bit later as well. So that's the beginning. That is enough to get you a little bit headed in the right direction.